Hey everybody, welcome to My Green Pets. I'm William Green, and we're going to start out today's episode in the greenhouse. I have my orchids in three different places. I have orchids at work, I have orchids at home, and I have orchids at this greenhouse. And of course, this is a really ideal place to keep plants, but occasionally I like to rotate them out because they have varying needs. But let's look at Phalaenopsis schilleriana, who really does love it here in the greenhouse. Warm, humid, lots of water, fertilizer, everything. It's got 36 buds on its spike, and you can see there I did put a stake in the pot finally to kind of keep the spike from arching so far that it actually touches the ground. I didn't want that to happen. My Bulbophyllum echinolabium, has got two big, nice spikes pushing out. And those probably have another month to grow before they start budding up with their first flower. But I'm looking forward to seeing Hal bloom again. He didn't waste much time between his last bloom and his spikes, growing new spikes. Bulbophyllum medusae is still looking okay. Most of the blooms are fading though, and you can see kind of the tips actually are starting to turn brown and droop a little bit, but I wasn't expecting this thing to bloom at all this year, and so when those flowers finally pushed out, I was pretty happy. I've been asked how I grow my bulbophyllums. I would say that the basic principle there is warm, wet, and bright. Now, this is a Bulbophyllum catenulatum kind of tucked in the corner of this basket. And it's got a nice little flower starting to pop open. I don't think that it's fully open yet, but I'm not sure. I've never seen this one bloom before. This was a gift from my neighbor Joe last year, and it finally has managed to put out a flower, and it does look very nice. Really nice colors, orange and dark red. Now my slipper orchids, this is appletonianum, and I could tell once the buds started developing that it looked a little bit weird, but now that I can see it looks like it's going to be very deformed. It does not look like it should at all, so we'll stay tuned to see what that looks like. This is urbanianum. It's got two buds on it, and then behind it you got tonsom. It's also got a nice bud pushing out. Those will be blooming in the next couple of months, I think, but very happy to see. And the urbanianum actually looks like it's got another fan that's going to push out a flower soon. Now this is the Cattleya maxima cerulean that I got last week as well, and I moved this into the greenhouse to start really piling on the light. I want this thing to get big and strong, and I'd love to see blooms on it maybe next year. I think it blooms in the winter. And then this is the Cattleya Marti that I showed you last week, and I unpotted it completely and found that the roots aren't in the best condition. Some of them are kind of rotted, smelled kind of mushroomy down there. So I've taken out all the media, and I'm just going to let it float in air for a while. And then this guy was at my apartment, and it got moved to the greenhouse. This is the cattail orchid, Diania ophrydis. And I saw in my apartment the other night that it had this growth pushing out, and I was like, oh, this is great, because it didn't start growing until like April last year, so I was happy to see that. So now that I see it's got the first signs of growth, it's going back to the greenhouse where it's going to be warm, where it's going to get moisture, and it's going to undergo a complete transformation in the next few months. Now this is a Stanhopeia oculata with spots on it, and I don't know where the spots are coming from. The top part of the leaf has no spots, only this kind of streak across the middle there. And if you look, another leaf is actually starting to develop some spotting too, and you can see that they start out really pale dots, and then they kind of deepen and darken. So I've heard, people have said it might be fungus. Other people have said it's the sunlight being magnified through droplets of water. I don't know what it is. So just to look around through my Cattleyas, these Cattleya rex seedlings are putting out their next round of growth. I'm really crossing my fingers that I'm going to see some more flowers this summer. A couple of the plants that bloomed last summer, I think it took such a toll on them that I don't know if I can expect more blooms on them this year. They might not bloom for another year. But here's one of them, for example, and you can see that it is popping out a new growth down there. But whether it's going to be big and strong enough to bloom, I just don't know. There's some smaller ones there putting out lots of nice little roots. And the mounted ones back here, there's 2 or 3 that are mounted on hickory bark that is set in pots, and those are huge. I would really love to see some flowers on those guys this year. But we'll see. You know, the amount of light that these guys got over the winter is really going to dictate what they're going to be able to do in the summer. So with that, let's kind of finish up here in the greenhouse, and then I'll take you guys back to my apartment so you can see what's in bloom there. Hey guys, welcome back over to the apartment. So I've switched a few things around. The Cycnodes Wine Delight has actually been moved to my workplace, and then I brought this Catasetum type home from the greenhouse, and I'm going to be taking that to work as well. And the reason, because at work I have a lot of light and it's very dry, and that's what these guys need right now during their growth stage, beginning of their growth stage. Let's see, right next to this guy, this is RLC Jessie Lee. Flowers 4 and 5 opened this week. And there are 2 buds underneath those flowers that will be opening soon. They have a very nice, sweet floral fragrance. Not super strong, but strong enough. Just lovely colors. And then this is the Rhyncholaelia Aristocrat that I got last week. Very nice flower on this guy. It's interesting, they only put 1 flower out per pseudobulb, but it's a good one. It smells very nice. Just a light, soapy fragrance, like clean, not just clean. It smells great. Let's see, my slipper orchids are doing okay. I gave everybody a little bit of fertilizer today. I'm using K-Lite from First Rays, and I'm using about 1/6 of a teaspoon per gallon on Saturdays only. They could probably take more than that, but I'd like to err on this side of too little fertilizer than too much. This is my little Paphiopedium. The new growth is coming along nicely. Paph Prime Child, also a nice new growth down there. Lots of good roots on this guy. And then Mormodia Jumbo World is over here, looking just precious. Such a cute little flower. And been lasting a nice long time too. So that's it. Thank you guys for stopping by, and we'll see you next time. Right here on My Green Pets, I'm William Green. Happy growing.